We just learned that with negative externalities, an unregulated market will produce too much of a good at too low of a price. So what do you think is going to happen in the opposite case with positive externalities? So remember, positive externalities is going to be giving some type of benefit to third parties from any action or transaction that you do out of your own volition. Keeping your yard tidy creates a positive externality, which is a benefit to your neighbors. We also said that getting a flu shot, wearing deodorant, recycling, these are all examples of positive externalities. However, if we leave the markets alone, we're going to go ahead and see a very similar process that happens as on the negative externality side. So we already know the sort of foundation, so we don't need to get into a very specific example, but we can go ahead and see exactly what happens in general. We have supply, we have demand, and we have two demand curves now. So DP in this instance, MPB, is the marginal private benefit. And the marginal private benefit just tells us that you are not taking into account the benefits that you are giving to third parties by you buying this good or by you doing this sort of transaction right here. And this is where the unregulated market is going to come into play. So point A right here, this is the market optimum or the market equilibrium. You're going to have the equilibrium price of P market and the equilibrium quantity of Q market. However, we want to go ahead and notice that we want more of these goods that generate positive externalities because they do give third party benefits to other people, to neutral parties. With negative externalities, these are giving harm or giving cost to other parties, so we want less of those goods. But here with positive externalities, it would make sense that we want more of these goods. So if we actually take into account the benefits that accrue to other parties and put that into our own thought processes, into our own transactions, then we get the marginal benefit that is going to be socially optimum. So the second demand curve right here, DS, the MSB, or the marginal social benefit, is exactly that, where we actually feel the benefits that third parties are getting. And when we do so, that's going to affect the demand curve, shift our demand curve over to the right, away from the origin, and we notice that the distance between these two demand curves is that external benefit. We emerge at the social optimum right here at point B with a higher price and a higher quantity at the social optimum. And we really don't make too much notations about the price itself because these goods or these transactions are generating some type of positive benefits. So we do want more of these goods. We want more people to recycle. We want more people to go ahead and wear deodorant. We want more people to get the flu shot. And in order to do so, in order to reach that socially optimum point, we actually have to feel those benefits that accrue to the third parties. So with positive externalities, we do notice that an unregulated market is going to produce too little of that good. So just for completion, wrapping up what we said on the negative externality side as well, just for comparison, when positive externalities, let me write this a little bit better. So positive externalities are present, that just tells us that an unregulated market will produce too little of the good. Will produce too little of the good. So here, we want to produce more of these goods, but if we leave the markets alone by themselves, we notice that with these goods that exhibit positive externalities, we will produce too little of the good. So essentially, we're going to be operating here at point A when our social optimum is going to be here at point B. So that just tells us that we need to have some type of intervention either on the government side or within ourselves, within the interaction between ourselves and the firms and corporations in order to push us here. We can also say that same thing on terms of the negative externality side. So with all of this, we want to hit on that point a little bit more. So how exactly can we reach that socially optimum point on both the positive and negative externality side? But let's suppose that we don't want the government to get involved in the marketplace. Is there a way for us to communicate with the firms and corporations in order for us to get the socially optimum outcome? And the answer is yes, there actually can be, and it's going to be a solution known as the Coase Theorem. And we'll go ahead and see what type of assumptions are going to be built up under the Coase Theorem to help us reach that socially optimum point under these externalities.